group, Brad Parks to slide right in and toast the group. This glass is definitely not going to stay on here. Gonna get everything set up here. Preparing for a while for this one. For those who don't know me, I am Andrew's older brother, Brad. You don't know me because Andrew never invites me anywhere. I literally just met his North End friends on a bachelor party. But before I get started, how about a quick round of applause for my two girls, Maddie and Claire, who did a great job being the volleyball today. How about that? The George Clooney of the Parks family is finally married. I gotta tell you, I'm still not completely sure this day is actually happening. When Andrew went to sign the marriage certificate, I almost expected his face to melt like the Nazis in Indiana Jones after opening the documents. Somehow he managed to keep it all together, and here we are. I have to say, being the perfect older brother to Andrew was a challenge, but I did my best. And everything I did while growing up was done so that it could eventually be successfully released into the wild. Within the first 2 weeks of meeting Andrew, I asked my parents to take him back where he came from. This was only the beginning of a calculated mental and emotional strengthening program which lasted for years and was used to prepare my brother for the inevitable onslaught of rejection. Our youth was spent playing video games, playing sports until sundown, watching far too much TV. Whenever there was an argument over what show to watch, what game to play, or whose fault it was that a ball broke a neighbor's window, the situation usually turned into a fight. Being a nice older brother, I always opted only to punch Andrew in the thighs and lower leg. They maybe opted as a little generous. I always wanted to sock that mouthy little punk right in the face. I never was able to though, because Andrew was a master at little brother self-defense. All of the older brothers know this technique. Andrew would always end up on his back, wildly kicking at the air. I could never get a good shot in. Anyways, I like to think it played a large part in preparing him for what would be a pretty devastating injury at the age of 12, which occurred while playing football. On a free play, Andrew's lower leg was broken in 3 different places, resulting in a permanent leg length discrepancy of at least a couple inches. Think of how many more places that leg would have broken and how much shorter that leg would have been had it not been trained through regular beatings. Again, I was always looking out for him. Overall, I would say Andrew was a pretty good younger sibling, but you do not spend 20-something years living with this man and not have a few things to get off your chest at his wedding. One show we watched a lot after school was Seinfeld, so it's only fitting that with Festivus being only a week away, today there will be an airing of grievances. To paraphrase the words of the great Frank Costanza, I got a lot of problems with you, buddy, and today you're going to hear about it. Here we go. Number 1. This one really pains me to say. I'm going to admit it here in front of everyone for the first time. Andrew's better looking than me. more hair than me. He can get a tan, whereas my skin looks like a freckled jellyfish. He's got muscles, and my body looks like it was just dragged out of the Red River. But nothing has grinded my gears more over the years than Andrew sitting idly by when hearing stuff from our buddies like, Brad, you're like Danny DeVito and Andrew's like Arnold Schwarzenegger for twins. Shut it already! I'm not the leftover stuff, I was first, damn it! Number 2. There's 5, you better put your feet up, people, let's go! It is no secret that the Parks clan likes to drink, but Andrew took it to another level. Partying too hard has gotten him into quite a few tricky situations, and our family has lost many nights of sleep wondering if our Andrew would make it home safely. The first that comes to mind happened while I was away in Minneapolis with some friends, and Andrew was camping at Red Lake Falls. Many of you know this story already. My friends and I were driving back home, and I received an eerie text message from Andrew which simply said, "Help." It turns out that he had had quite the weekend. After getting kicked out of the campground and refusing to leave, the older gentleman that owned the campground threatened to tie him up with twine and remove him from the property. Andrew was having none of this and decided to make a run for it. He sprinted down the road while the old man chased him with the twine. Now, Andrew says he fell because it was dark and the road dipped. But I maintain it was because he wasn't used to sprinting without using his custom footwear to even out his peg leg. The old man caught up to him, and instead of tying him up and escorting him off the property, he kneed him in the shoulder, instantly dislocating it. The details are a little fuzzy for me from here, but the whole ordeal ended up with Andrew in front of a judge while wearing a bathing suit and a pink women's-size small tank top, arguing the fines he had been assessed, and then several months of physiotherapy. The next incident occurred on the night of the Commerce Social many years ago. Andrew came home early, tears streaming down his face. What happened, I asked. It turns out these were not tears of sadness, but rather severe irritation due to being pepper sprayed by an older security guard at the convention center. It turns out that calling the security guard Old Man Winter as he was getting kicked out was not the brightest idea. "You're an idiot," I said. My opinion was clearly not wanted at the time as Andrew proceeded to punch a hole in my bedroom door. The last incident that sticks out was just a regular Saturday. Andrew and his friends were pre-gaming before heading out somewhere. I think they left at 8, and by 8:30, his friends had circled back and poured him onto our front steps because he had drinking far too much. Being the good, responsible older brother, I gathered him up, took him to his room, put him in the recovery position, and tucked him in for the night. I even put a couple Gatorades on his bedside table. The next morning, I thought I would check in on him to make sure he hadn't died. To my shock and horror, I realized the fruit punch Gatorades had been refilled with urine. Disgusting! He was in too rough of shape to walk 20 feet to the damn washroom. Number 3. There is no arguing with this this man. He is one of the most stubborn human beings I've ever encountered. He will fight every argument to the grave, even if he's wrong. When we were younger, the arguments would turn into the beatings I described previously. As we got older, though, the potential for me getting beat up by Andrew became a real possibility. Realizing this, I began to steer the arguments into a different direction. We started to mess with each other's food instead of fist fighting. I would throw a handful of sugar into his bowl of soup. He would mix my shepherd's pie with his disgusting fingers. Or I would smash his lasagna with a closed fist. These actions would usually end up defusing the situation. But one night, when Andrew was in one of his moods, things ended differently. After a short argument, I went straight for the pizza smash. I immediately realized this was a bad idea, as I could see the fury in his eyes. Fearing for my life, I sprinted to my room, locking the door behind me. I could hear the savage beast on the other side of the door. I did the only thing I could think of that might save my life if he broke in. I laid on my back and started wildly kicking at the air. Luckily, he gave up pretty quickly, and he opted to throw half a pizza against my door instead of breaking it down. Number 4. The macho, well-dressed Andrew that most of you know is not the real Andrew. The Andrew I know had a mushroom-cut hairstyle until he was 15. And unbelievably, up until he was about 13, he was still wearing neon bicycle shorts paired with a fanny pack on a regular basis. Perhaps the best example I can think of is there was a period of time when Andrew was only able to get to sleep with a certain song. That's right, Seal's Kiss from a Rose. Do the math, people. Andrew was 10 years old when this song came out. This man is a fraud. Alright, last one, number 5. I asked my dad a few weeks ago if there was anything he could think of that he thought I should include in my speech. He said, without a moment's hesitation, Andrew sure likes to look in the mirror a lot. Way ahead of you, Dad, I responded. Man, did this ever annoy me. At my parents' house in the front hall, there's a sliding mirrored closet door. I can't even put an estimation on the amount of times I just saw him standing there looking at himself in front of his mirrors. He would just stand there. Actually, it was more like this. Miss Pegley. I started to realize that it was not only those mirrors he would use to check himself out. I would find him staring thoughtfully out the front window or maybe waiting for a ride, only to realize he was checking out his reflection. And I can guarantee on certain mornings, after a rough night of boozing, there was more than one occasion where he'd reach out to his bedside table, check out his reflection in the Gatorade piss jug. Alright, that's not airing of grievances. To my new sister-in-law. When Andrew and I met up with you at Moxie's after the Jets game, when you guys first started dating, I can tell you were perfect for him. When he told me you stitched up his nose in the car after he busted at hockey, I knew you were a keeper. You have fit in with us right from the beginning, and we are also happy to officially call you family. Now that you are Parks, you will receive in the mail a copy of the Parks Family Rulebook. It's actually only one page and has only one rule. Becky is always right. I know you guys have been living together for a while already, but if you can take any tips away from my speech today, I'd like to stress that instead of arguing with him, just toss a handful of salt in his smoothie in the morning and quickly turn on some Seal. Calm him right down. To my brother, I really couldn't be happier for you. I can see how much you care about Lindsay, and I can tell she brings out the best in you. I am and have always been so proud to call you my brother. I love you probably more than you know, and I couldn't have asked for a better person to grow up with. But would it kill you to babysit a little more often? One little bit of advice now that you're married, you're probably/hopefully going to have kids sometime soon. Although Saturdays have been for the boys, it's probably not a bad idea to sprinkle in a Saturday here and there for the Netflix and snuggling. I love you, buddy. And with that, let's toast the groom.